So you are aware that no matter where you stand and no matter how much of that which you have wanted has come into full fruition, that still the details of where you now are will continue to launch new desire, yes? So it will never be possible to become finished with desire. Is that right? It is, isn't it? That's why we refer to all of us as eternal beings. Many of you are knowing that you are source energy in a physical body, and that this physical body is in fact an extension of that source energy. So here you are, literally, leading edge source in a leading edge environment. You get that? Many humans do not refer to themselves as source or God in a physical body, but we can find no other way of explaining, because we know who you were before that part of you came forth into this physical body, and even more, we know who you still are from that source energy perspective. So it's easy for us to, at any moment, identify that you are predominantly source energy, but that source energy has a physical, human, leading edge perspective that is thinking and creating. And the reason that we take the time to explain to you these two important aspects of who you are is because these two important aspects of who you are vibrationally playing off of one another all the time. In other words, from your source energy standpoint, you know your value. You feel utter worthiness. In fact, worthiness is not even a word that would be coined in the vibrational vocabulary of non-physical, because it is a non-issue. In other words, you can't not be worthy, so it isn't talked about. It's just known. Your well-being, your value, who you are, is just known by all that is and by that non-physical part of you. So if you are standing in your physical form and you are finding fault with yourself, feeling inadequate or inappropriate or not enough, you're going to feel a discord rippling through your body in the form of emotion, negative emotion, because all of your emotions are your in-the-moment indicator of the alignment with the thought you're thinking in the moment and how you really view same perspective or same thought, same situation, same condition from your broader non-physical perspective. So these 2 points of vibrational relativity are playing off one another constantly, and your emotions are the feedback of that. So did you get that? That means that by paying attention to your emotion, you know how what you're thinking in this moment meshes or doesn't mesh with how your source energy, inner being, is feeling about same subject in same time. So when your grandmother looks at you and adores you, the reason that feels so good to you is because your grandmother has influenced you to a thought that is in harmony with the way source, or that broader non-physical part of you, feels about you. You're beginning to get a sense of these 2 points of vibrational relativity. Same as all guidance systems. Jerry and Esther have 4 different kinds of systems now in a variety of vehicles, navigational systems. But they all operate off the same premise, where they program their desired destination in. The system knows where they are and then calculates a route between where they are and where they say they now want to be. Magellan never says, "Where have you been? Where were you? Why didn't you get here sooner?" or "Why are you even here at all?" Magellan never says, "I told you yesterday when you asked and you didn't listen, so now you're on your own." In other words, the navigational system is really straightforward. It gives feedback about where you are in relationship to where you now want to go. And your emotional guidance system gives the same sort of feedback. But in order for you to trust it or to understand it or to be willing to listen to it, we think it might be helpful for you to understand how it is that it comes about. We want you to remember that you are confident, secure, non-physical energy. And you make the decision to come forth into this physical body. And you said, I really like the idea of coming forth on planet Earth in this leading edge time. I particularly, you said, we told you we would remind you, I particularly like the variety that is upon the planet. Because from this variety, I will be able to sift and sort and come to my own personal conclusions about what I prefer. Because you said, we said we would remind you, I am a creator going forth into a leading edge creative environment. And what could be better than variety from which I will choose? And then you said, and as things happen, which help me to know, don't like that, would like that better, don't like that, would like that better, really like that, would like more of that. As I'm choosing from this buffet, I'm not only choosing from among what is already there, but the variety that surrounds me and the others with whom I will be co-creating will inspire yet new ideas of desire that could not have been determined or concluded or desired from previous situations that are only the byproduct of this particular unfolding of life. So you said, I'll go forth and I'll let the variety inspire me to the new idea. Now this is the part that we so want you to remember. Most of you don't remember it until we tell you. As we tell you, many of you begin to feel resonance with it. So the non-physical part of you said, all right, you'll go forth into your physical body, and the larger part of who you are will remain non-physical. And a part of your perspective will be expressed into the physical, and that part, that leading edge part, sort of like the pioneer, will be out there dipping into things beyond that which has ever been dipped into before. And as you are dipping into those new places, interacting with those new people under those new conditions, you will come, you leading edge part of that which is source energy, you will come to new leading edge conclusions, decisions about what you want. New preferences will be born within you. And here's the part we want you to remember. And when that preference is born, source energy part of you said, we will go completely to that new idea, and we will resonate totally with that new idea. We will literally, vibrationally become it. When you, from your physical format, come to a decision, clear or not clear, big or small, broad or narrow, when you come to a conclusion of something that you would prefer that is different than what currently is being lived by you, source energy becomes that immediately, moves fully into the thought of that. Now, how is that possible? Why can source energy become fully integrated with your new idea of desire when you can't do it that quickly? Because source has no resistance. Source is not beating the drum of I can't do it, I shouldn't do it, others might not like me to do it. Source in its purity, source in its knowledge of the ways the laws of the universe work. Source trusts your ability to know. Source knows that you are the leading edge one living the leading edge experience, and that if your leading edge life has caused you a leading edge desire, that it is a leading edge desire worth following. Isn't that nice to know? So now, what are you in your human form doing about your vibrational alignment with what you have asked for, with what you have become, with what source has joined you in? Where are you in relationship to that? In other words, life causes you to ask for more money, and source says, of course. But then when you beat the drum of I don't have enough money, how come I don't have more money? I'm so uncomfortable that I don't have enough money. I've never had enough money. That person over there has more money than they should have. As you are beating the drum that amplifies your awareness of where you are in relationship to money instead of where you want to be in relationship to money, there is a vibrational discord between you, and it shows up within you in the form of negative emotion. When you say, I don't have enough money, you feel the discord. When you say, I would like to have more money, there's less discord. When you say, things always work out for me, there's less discord. When you say, whatever I want is flowing, there's less discord. When you say, well-being is always mine, there's no discord, and the money flows into your experience. But you cannot continue to offer a vibration in opposition, not only of what you've asked for, but of what you have become. Oh, those are fairly new words, friends, and we so much want you to hear them, because every negative emotion that we see you experiencing and every lackful experience that you are living is only as a result of one thing. You're not letting yourself go to who you have become. Can you hear that? Before you can really hear it, you have to get a sense of the continuum of who you are. You were non-physical energy before you came into this physical body. Do you get that? And can you also hear not only that you were non-physical energy, but the larger part of you still is non-physical energy? You talk about that when you think of inner being, or when you think of God, or when you talk of soul. But most physical humans think dead or alive. So I'm non-physical or physical. And so many times people will sit in the hot seat to visit with us and they will say, "Hey, Abraham, why have you chosen not to be physical? When will you come forth and no longer be non-physical and be physical in a physical body?" And we say, we will never come forth and not be non-physical and only be in a physical body, and neither will you. There will always be the non-physical part of you that is the larger part of you, the eternal part of you, the continuum part of you, you see. So what this gathering is about, it's not about the eternalness of your being. That is a given. And whether you understand it or not, you just are. And when you croak, we love that disrespectful word. And all of you will croak, you know that. Croak, croak, croak. You're all going to croak. You're not going to remain in this physical body. You are going to reemerge back into non-physical. And really, what you know about that from your physical perspective will not matter at all when you croak. Because when you croak, you'll close the gap. You'll be non-physical energy, and you'll have clear view of all of this. So we're not talking to you about the gap between who you may be allowing yourself to be and who you really are, because you need to know in terms of your eternal salvation. That's not in question. You are pure positive energy, and your eternal salvation is a given. You are source energy here in a physical body, and you will never separate yourself from that, except for the thoughts that you choose that don't allow your connection. You can't set your radio dial on 630 and hear what's being broadcast on 98.7. And you can't set your tuner on not enough money and have enough money. Or on I'm unworthy and feel worthy. Or on I'm not good enough. Or on things aren't going well for me. Or on I'm a victim. In other words, you just can't beat the drum of what you don't want and in that moment be a match to who you really are. But when you die, there is not death. But when you have that experience that you call death, when you withdraw your attention from your physical expression, you will reemerge back into non-physical, and that vibrational gap will be closed. There'll be no resistance within you, and you will be that source energy in completion that you have hoped that you would be. So this gathering is not about that. That happens whether you know that it is or not. This gathering is not about teaching you how to want. Your life experience produces all of the desire that you knew that it would when you made the decision to come forth. This seminar is about helping you, while you're in your physical body, to close that vibrational gap so that you can begin to more consciously allow the fullness of who you are to express here in this physical life experience. When you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, when you are allowing your connection to source energy, you're high on life. You are in love with life. You feel good. You are clear-minded. You are flexible. Your physical body feels good. You are resilient. Your physical body is healthy. In other words, in that connection, in that absence of vibrational resistance, you are thriving on all fronts, you see. And that's what you intended when you came forth into this body. Not one of you ever said, "All right, I'm source energy, and I'm going to go into an inferior physical body, and I'm going to deliberately find things to think about that hold me apart from who I really am, and I'm going to have a really miserable time. And in my misery, I will write books on tolerance and endurance. I will write books about being virtuous and valiant. I'll find all kinds of other people to join with me in their varieties of miserableness. And hopefully I'll be able, through my misery and suffering, to earn a better place in heaven when I die." And we say, well, that's a given, because when you die, that gap closes anyway. And you've had all that misery for nothing. Don't you think that's sad? All that misery for nothing.